obviously the off-field issues prevented a trade in March, April, May of last year. Also, along the way, the Texans have just wanted so much. They've wanted like 6 assets, 3 first-round picks, plus multiple other things. And that's fine. That's fine. You can charge whatever you want. You can set the price point wherever you want, but sometimes you set the price point so high, you're not going to sell.
No,
and how do they
agreed.
find a way to save face and drop the price and get out of this relationship? And, Chris, I think the only way to do it is to come up with a formula that will compensate the Texans next year and the year after based upon what Watson does this year and next year. That's the only fair way to do it.
Probably.
Only fair way.
Yeah, probably. I mean, again, yeah, they're going to be, hands tied behind their back a little bit here because of, yes, limited options. Yes, we don't know exactly where, this all the law stuff is or going to be figured out or when that's going to happen. So they might lose some more options as far as ability to trade them to certain teams here as time goes on. It's scary. It is, and that's what we talked about back then. We talked about it a lot leading up to the trade. Do you want to risk it? Do you want to? And as it looks right now, yeah, it doesn't look like they'd probably be able to get what we thought they would be able to get last training camp or leading up to the trade deadline. And this was the fears of the situation. So, for Nick Casario's case, hopefully he can get one or two of these teams to bid against each other and they can get close to what the real value for Watson should be.
And the financial stakes are higher this year because last year it was a $10 million fully guaranteed salary for Deshaun Watson. This year it is $35 million, and it's on the books as a $35 million cap charge. You're not going to restructure if you're Deshaun Watson. You're not going to do anything. Now, they may have the right in his contract to do that if they want to, but to do that, they'd have to give him a big pile of money right now to do that, as opposed to leaving it in salary. They can't get cap relief unless they trade him. They cannot get cap relief because if they would restructure, they would owe him all that money. If they turn $30 million into a signing bonus, you're going to pay the guy $30 million and then trade him? You may be able to get more in trade if you do it, but I don't know if that's what they want to do. So Davis Mills is their top option at quarterback now. Deshaun Watson is not going to play for them ever again. Do they look for an upgrade? Should they look for an upgrade over Davis Mills, or should they give Mills a chance to show what he can do and develop as the team tries to develop?
I think he's earned the right to go, let's see what he's got, while we kind of keep our eyes open. If anything just kind of, smacks us in the face to go, okay, that's dramatically better. But I think Davis Mills showed the ability and showed some signs there to where you go, hey, let's see. Maybe he's got a chance to be the future. There certainly was moments. Now, he hit a little bit of a dull point in the middle part of the year where, it really fell off and it got bad, and they brought Tyrod Taylor back in, and, he wasn't ready to go yet. So then they put Davis Mills in, and he finished the season really strong. He's smart. He's got a good arm. He's a decent athlete. I look at Houston as a team that I think is just going to stand pat with Davis Mills and maybe try to even find another Davis Mills in the draft where they go, hey, let's look in the second or third round for another quarterback that we think maybe has potential to be a starter and just see where it goes from there, and then they'll evaluate their team as it goes next year.
And again, these are teams we're looking at now that have quarterbacks and maybe are looking to upgrade. Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, year 2 with him. He was the guy that helped them get 2 ones instead of 1 first-round pick, plus a third-rounder in the Matthew Stafford trade last year. They took on his ridiculously bad contract that the Rams gave him in 2019. He had 3,200 passing yards last season, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The Lions do hold the second overall pick in the draft, although there's no quarterback that would be worthy of that selection. They could always trade down and draft one. What do you think they could do, should do, would do? Do they give Goff another year, or do they look for someone that can either be groomed to take over or someone who would supplant Jared Goff this year?
I think you look for a guy that, groom / hopefully takes over for Jared Goff this year. I think that's what you do. I mean, that Jared Goff's not the guy of the future. That's for sure. They got the first pick of the draft, like you mentioned. They got the 32nd pick of the draft, and they got the 34th pick of the draft. They got some options to play with here as far as if they need to make a move to get a quarterback they like. If they need to jump back up into the teens, hey, those picks at 32 and 34 can get them back up there. So they will have options, and I would expect them to be a team that, either trades out of the first pick or, takes Aiden Hutchinson with that first pick, or second pick, excuse me, and then, make a move to move back up to get a quarterback they desire that they look like that could be the future or the guy right now, going forward.
Jared Goff has a guaranteed roster bonus already baked into his contract of $15.5 million.
So
that
he's
is
there.
Due March 19, and a salary of $10.65 million. So, it's after this year that I think you get into the potential. Let's move on from Jared Goff, because they're paying him a lot of money, and again, that's part of how they bought themselves 2 first-round picks, not just 1 first-round pick for the Matthew Stafford trade. Carolina Panthers, we've already talked about them as it relates to Deshaun Watson. Sam Darnold is their guy. Obviously, he's not their guy. Cam Newton, they haven't closed the door on re-signing him, but I don't think he's the guy either. David Tepper, the owner of the team, is desperate to find a franchise quarterback, and I think he's the guy most likely to say Deshaun Watson, because I'm not worried about this year. I'm worried about finding myself a 10-year franchise quarterback, and that guy is available if you can convince him to waive his no-trade clause and if you can give the Texans what they want.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the one I look at to be kind of in the leader house where I'd go. It makes a lot of sense. It does. Carolina, man, they're playing with fire right now. I mean, the damn quarterback position is going to be – the killer of this regime there down in Carolina. They've done a lot of good things with the roster. They got a lot of good young talent coming up the pipeline, but the quarterback problem has been a real problem, and it's a black eye on them. And I look at them right now and just go, okay, yes, be aggressive, make something happen for Deshaun Watson. Sure, do that. I mean, if I'm the coaching staff down there, I certainly want, to make that happen if I'm Matt Rule. Because after that, there's a lot of, I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, Jimmy Garoppolo comes to town. Yes, right, I get that. But there's a huge gap between Deshaun Watson and Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, he's played football and done all that too. But what I would say with Jimmy Garoppolo there, that team learning how to win, he's not necessarily a guy that's going to make any plays off schedule or do anything outside the realm of the playbook itself. And the playbook won't be a Shanahan playbook. I mean, yes, this is a huge, huge, talking point for the Carolina Panthers, and it could ultimately determine whether these coaches are there next year or not.
Well, that's the other problem, too. If you're Deshaun Watson and you're looking at your options, you want to go to a place where there's going to be stability. You've already gone through the abrupt firing of Bill O'Brien. That contributed to Watson wanting out of Houston in the first place. So you're the savior for Matt Rule. You look around those NFC teams, and that makes the Panthers less attractive. The fact that it really does feel like up or out for Matt Rule, and his offensive coordinator is Ben McAdoo, and that may make the Panthers, the circumstances may make the Panthers less attractive to Deshaun Watson than maybe they otherwise would be. So even if they want him, they may have a hard time getting him. Lastly, the 49ers, and I assume we've added them to the list just because of the Tom Brady possibility, because this is the year we're supposed to see what Trey Lance has. 3rd overall pick. They gave up 2 extra first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick to get in position to draft him last year. We don't know that he's ready. And we saw him start a game relatively late in the season. Wasn't horrible, right? Wasn't great, but wasn't horrible.
Right.
Rough at first, got better. They won the game.
Yep.
And I guess this is what it comes down to. If Tom Brady can get out of Tampa and he calls Kyle Shanahan this year, 2 years after he expressed interest in playing for the 49ers and they said no thank you, do the 49ers give him a different answer this time around?
I'm going to say yes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know everybody thinks I have answers here. I have no answers at all.
I want answers. I want the truth.
Well, I'm giving you the truth, soldier. I mean, the one thing with this situation, listen, I do think it's weird, right? I mean, hey, we traded around 3 first-round picks, and we might not make the guy the starter in year 2, and a guy that needs to play, like we talked about a little bit, I think, early in the offseason here. That to me is, but you'll be able to sell it to the fan base of going, well, we got Tom Brady, and he can learn behind Tom Brady and all of that. So that'll cool off that conversation a little bit. But, I look at it with Tom Brady and go, if he comes back and plays, I feel like it'll be the 49ers or no one, really. That's how I kind of feel right now. And, yes, the door's not shut there. So I certainly still think it's a possibility. I do.
Yeah, I think it is a strong possibility. And we mentioned earlier how the 49ers are the most popular bet to make it to the Super Bowl. They become a very popular bet if they could get Tom Brady. And we all learn from our mistakes. And the 49ers made a huge mistake 2 years ago saying no thank you to Tom Brady. I think that's one of the reasons why they freaked out last year and gave up so much to get into the third spot. But if they could get Tom Brady, add him to that team. That team is Super Bowl ready right now. They almost made it last year with Jimmy Garoppolo. You put Tom Brady on that team last year, they make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You put him on the team this year, they're the favorite to make it to the Super Bowl. And I know a lot's going to happen over the course of a 17-game regular season. But if they can do it, they would be crazy not to, and the fans should revolt if they pass again on the opportunity to bring Tom Brady home.
The problem with that is going to be with Brady is, I would think the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks, are they just going to give Brady away to the damn 49ers? That's where I'd go. Like, that's where, to me, is the unspoken part. We heard Bruce Arians' comments last week at the Combine. That's bad business.
Ignore him.
I know.
Ignore him.
I know he doesn't have all the power, but still,
he doesn't have any of the power.
But he's not gonna be able. They're not gonna just be able to give him away. That's not gonna look good. And then give him away to what? The number one direct threat to the NFC Championship and the 49ers. That's where I think things can get interesting.
Well, I think there's more than one direct threat to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers without Tom Brady for the NFC Championship. I think that it takes one phone call, Tom Brady to one of the Glazers, whichever one's got all the juice, and I can't keep them straight. I'm sorry. When you have that many people running the team, I don't know who's in charge. But the argument's very simple. I signed a 2-year contract in 2020. I've put my 2 years in. Well, what about your extension last year? I signed that for cap reasons. That wasn't a commitment to stay through 2022. Now, at times, he said last year he's going to play through 2022, and he has a contract with the Bucs through 2022. He did mention that. But, that was before I think things fell apart a little bit. The end of the year, he was ready to move on from the Bucs. And he's done so much for the town. He's delivered a Super Bowl. He delivered a full stadium last year. He's Tom Brady. And maybe they do a face-saving trade, after June 1. You can't do it before. It's a $32 million cap charge. But maybe you do something. Maybe you line up the trade now and it becomes official after June 1. I don't know. But I feel like it would be wrong for the Buccaneers to not let this guy go.
Well, to a degree. You don't just let him go. This is football. I don't give a damn what his name is. I don't give a damn. They did a lot for him, too. They gave him a team that was stacked and let him come down there and play. So that's where
I think he did more for them than they did for him.
Okay, sure, I get it, but Mike, we could have put a lot of top 10 quarterbacks in there, and it still would have been the best team in football.
How are they going to get him? 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 Brady was the one they got.
I got you. I'm just saying that let's not put it on such a pedestal that way, right? That's all I'm saying. And either way,
well, if he's not that good, then why should they care if he goes? If they could find somebody else,
I'm not saying he's not that good. I'm just saying you don't let him go for anything. You don't just go, oh, well, thanks, you did everything. I said some sort of a face saver, It's not like the 49ers have a lot of assets they can send. No, I know that's where I'm saying this is interesting, right? And you're not giving him away for less than a second-round pick. I mean, you're getting a second-round pick or more for Tom Brady. To me, that you're going to become a laughingstock in the NFL if you give Tom Brady to one of your biggest competitors in the NFC for a mid-round pick just because, hey, you did good for us for 2 years. Not
if you come out and explain it. Not if you come out and explain it the way I just did. We signed him for 2 years. He did his 2 years. The extension that put him under contract through 2022 was aimed at creating cap space so we could keep our team together for 2021. That's how you justify it. That's how you argue it if you're Tom Brady, and that's how you justify it if you're the Buccaneers, and you have to tell your fan base why you're letting him go for a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, whatever. So, hey, if he doesn't play, they get nothing for him. So maybe there is a way to get some value, and they can make that argument. He was never playing for us again.
Well, they're going to let him keep the money. That's a good enough thing as is. So now we're going to let him just dictate where he wants to go around the NFL.
We don't know. Do we know that they paid that well? He's still on the roster, so they had to have paid the money.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
but it's 49ers, I think, are bust for Brady. I think we figured that out. And the 49ers, yeah, I mean, to me, I would think it's Trey Lance with everything they traded. But, yes, if Tom Brady becomes a real option and all of that, then you do it. But now the one thing I heard with Brady, with the whole Sean Payton to Miami and all that, was that it was going to be one of those things where kind of let me feel it out and make sure, and I'll show up for training camp and play then. That to me, with some of these teams, and even the 49ers, you're going to go learn a new offense and play that way. Even for Tom Brady, that would be an uphill climb. So there's a lot of interesting things around this angle.
And I think that's part of the bargain that was done within the Brady household. He's shutting it down, at least from the standpoint of direct involvement, shutting it down
right.
For several months, and then he'll show up for training camp and try to get it done with a new team. Look, it's good for us, it's good for the game, it's good for everyone if Tom Brady plays, and it's great for the 49ers, and it's bad for the rest of the teams in the NFC. But it would be something if it happens.
I'm one that's sick of talking about.
As a businessman, I'm rooting for it.
I know you are. We know. I'm sick of talking about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm sick of talking about Tom Brady. Put me in that camp right there. I've had enough, okay? I have had enough.
Well, look, it's not our fault that Tom Brady is on the front burner because he's the one who said 6 days after he supposedly retired, never say never, and he said more things since then.
Yes, he has, right.
That only throw fuel on the fire.
No doubt.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.